What if a foreign government was accused of assassinating a political leader on another nation's soil? Is it a breach of sovereignty or a fight for freedom? Welcome to the intricate world of the Khalistan movement and the India-Canada tensions. This is a tale of political intrigue and diaspora activism, of a dream for a homeland and the sacrifices made for it. It's a story that stretches across continents, affecting the lives of millions. It's a debate that's far from black and white, with shades of grey that blur the lines between right and wrong. Let's journey back in time to understand the roots of this conflict. The Khalistan movement, a call for an independent Sikh state, didn't emerge overnight. Its seeds were sown back in the late 1980s. The genesis of the movement can be traced to the turbulent socio-political environment of the time in the Indian state of Punjab. The Sikh community, feeling marginalized and facing discrimination, longed for a separate homeland where they could live in peace and freely practice their faith. The Khalistan movement was born out of this longing. It started as an armed rebellion, with groups advocating for a separate Sikh state, Khalistan, to be carved out of the Indian territory. The proponents of the movement were not just fighting for land, but for the preservation of their culture, language, and religious practices. The Indian government, however, viewed this movement as a threat to national unity and sovereignty. It responded with a heavy hand, using both political and military strategies to suppress the rebellion. This period was marked by a series of violent conflicts, human rights abuses, and a significant loss of life on both sides. As the Indian government strengthened its grip on Punjab, the movement began to lose momentum. Many of its key leaders were either arrested or killed, and those who survived were forced into hiding or fled the country. By the mid-1990s, the Khalistan movement, at least in its original form, had largely been quelled in India. However, the idea of Khalistan did not die with the suppression of the movement. It simply relocated. Thousands of miles away, in the vibrant Sikh diaspora of North America, particularly in Canada, the Khalistan movement found a new lease on life. But that's a story for the next scene. While the movement lost steam in India, it found a new lease of life in the diaspora, especially in Canada. Canada, with the largest Sikh population outside of India, became a fertile ground for the Khalistan movement. The growth of the Khalistan movement in Canada can be traced back to the country's robust protection of free speech, allowing for diverse political activism. This, coupled with a vibrant and sizable Sikh diaspora, provided a conducive environment for the Khalistan movement to gain momentum. Canada is home to approximately 800,000 Sikhs, a population that has proven to be as diverse in its political views as it is in its cultural practices. While some Sikhs are ardent supporters of Khalistan, advocating for an independent Sikh state, others remain strongly patriotic towards India, their country of origin, and do not support the idea of Khalistan. This dichotomy within the Sikh community has not only sparked intense debates, but also occasionally conflicts. It's important to remember that the Sikh community, both in India and in the diaspora, is not a monolithic entity. There exist a myriad of viewpoints and perspectives within the community, leading to a complex and multifaceted political landscape. Khalistan activism in Canada has also been a subject of controversy and tension. The Canadian government, based on its intelligence and surveillance, has accused Indian diplomats of involvement in the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh leader and alleged member of the Khalistan Tiger Force. This accusation has strained the diplomatic relations between India and Canada, adding another layer to the complex issue of the Khalistan movement in the diaspora. However, it's crucial to note that the debate over Khalistan and Sikh sovereignty is not a fringe concept within the Sikh community. There's a strong support for Khalistan among the diaspora, and recent activism has focused on gaining recognition for Sikh suffering linked to events that took place in 1984. This diversity within the Sikh community has led to intense debates and occasional conflicts. The assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh separatist leader, in 2023 set off a diplomatic firestorm between Canada and India. In the wake of Nijjar's assassination, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dropped a bombshell. Utilizing Canadian intelligence and surveillance of Indian diplomats, he accused India of potentially being behind this audacious act. A Sikh separatist leader, Nijjar had been designated a terrorist by India for his alleged links to the Khalistan Tiger Force, a militant organization advocating for the creation of Khalistan, a separate Sikh state. India, on the other hand, vehemently denied any involvement in the assassination. The Indian authorities urged Canada to crack down on anti-India groups operating within its territory. These allegations and counter-allegations led to a rapid escalation in tensions between the two countries. The diplomatic fallout was severe, with India ceasing to issue visas to Canadian citizens and asking Canada to reduce its diplomatic staff. The assassination and the subsequent diplomatic tensions had a profound impact on the Sikh and Indian communities in Canada. The Sikh community, home to the largest Sikh population outside of India, was particularly affected. The debate over Khalistan and Sikh sovereignty, which had been a simmering issue, was thrust into the spotlight again, dividing the community. The Indian community in Canada also felt the heat. The resurgence of Khalistani extremism in the diaspora strained relationships with Hindus. Reports of vandalism and harassment at Hindu temples and Indian festivals added to the growing unease. The fallout from Nijjar's assassination has led to a renewed focus on the Khalistan movement and its implications. The question of Sikh suffering linked to events in 1984, the fight for justice, and the concept of violence and non-violence in Sikhism have all come under the microscope. The assassination has not only ignited a diplomatic firestorm, but it has also sparked a renewed debate on Sikh activism and the Khalistan movement, both within and outside the Sikh community. The assassination of Nijjar and the subsequent diplomatic spat has put the spotlight back on the Khalistan movement. The Sikh community, both in India and in the diaspora, is far from monolithic in its views on Khalistan. While some Sikhs passionately champion the cause of an independent Sikh state, others remain patriotic towards India, viewing Khalistan as a divisive and disruptive concept. The resurgence of Khalistan extremism in the diaspora, particularly in Canada, has stirred up controversy and tension. The Canadian government, guided by its commitment to free speech, has thus far allowed Khalistani activism to flourish. However, the assassination of Nijjar and the ensuing allegations against India have strained relations between the two countries. This has resulted in a diplomatic tit-for-tat, with India ceasing the issuance of visas to Canadian citizens and asking Canada to reduce its diplomatic staff. The Sikh community in Canada, home to the largest Sikh population outside of India, is caught in the crossfire. The debate over Khalistan and Sikh sovereignty is not a fringe concept among them, with strong support for Khalistan resonating within the diaspora. However, the resurgence of Khalistan extremism has also led to reported incidents of vandalism and harassment at Hindu temples and Indian festivals, straining relationships with Hindus and causing distress within the wider community. The current state of affairs is a complex tapestry of political tensions, cultural divides, and historical grievances. The Khalistan movement, once a violent insurgency in the late 80s, has now morphed into a diplomatic flashpoint between India and Canada, with the Sikh community at its heart. The debate over Sikh suffering, particularly related to events in 1984, continues to fuel activism in the diaspora. As the debate rages on, the future of the Khalistan movement and India-Canada relations remains uncertain. The balance between freedom of speech and maintaining diplomatic relations is a delicate one, and how Canada navigates this will undoubtedly shape the trajectory of the Khalistan movement and its impact on the global Sikh community. The Khalistan movement and the India-Canada tensions are a testament to the complexities of geopolitics and diaspora activism. As we've discussed, the Khalistan movement has its roots in the late 80s when an armed rebellion sought to carve out a separate Sikh homeland in Punjab. This movement, while suppressed in India, found new life in Canada, home to the largest Sikh diaspora outside India. The assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh separatist leader, marked a significant turn of events, sparking a diplomatic firestorm between India and Canada. Nijjar's death, which Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau linked to potential Indian involvement, added fuel to the already simmering Khalistan debate. These allegations have led to an escalating diplomatic tension, with India stopping the issuance of visas to Canadian citizens and both countries expelling diplomats. The current state of affairs is complex, with tensions running high and relationships strained. The Sikh community, both in India and the diaspora, remains divided on the issue of Khalistan. Meanwhile, incidents of harassment and vandalism have been reported, impacting Indian Americans and straining relationships with Hindus. While we can't predict the future, we can stay informed and engaged. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the intricate world of the Khalistan movement and India-Canada tensions.